Right, let us get straight into this because the mood around Rangers these days is nothing short of electric, and no one in the blue half of Glasgow needed a press release to realize the club had finally hit that point where change simply could not be avoided anymore. The departure of the former decision-makers didn't come as a surprise to anyone who has watched the team stumble from one poor call to another, and for many supporters, it almost felt like a weight being lifted, even if the mess left behind is still sitting there like a cold reminder of how badly things have been handled. What really hits home is how far the squad has slipped in terms of quality and identity. You only need to watch a single match or glance at the bench to feel it. A club the size of Rangers should never look thin, unsure, or patched together, yet that is exactly what the team has felt like. The previous leadership seemed to think they could wander down south, grab a handful of lads from the Championship or League One, sprinkle in a couple who once had a taste of the Premier League, and everything would magically fall into place because it is just Scotland. That attitude has no place here, not at Ibrox, not in front of a support that demands effort, ambition, and a bit of smart thinking. The recruitment over the summer has been the talking point everywhere from the pub to the stands, and the frustration is more than justified. Spending all that money and ending up with a squad that looks weaker than it did the season before is the kind of thing that leaves folk scratching their heads. You can walk through the team position by position and still struggle to find areas where we genuinely improved. There are signings who came in with big price tags and even bigger expectations, yet look miles off the pace. Paying that kind of fee for a striker who barely threatens the goal is the sort of decision that would get questioned at any club, never mind one that operates under pressure every single week. And here is the thing. It is not even about every signing needing to be a superstar. Sometimes you just need players who understand the league, who know what it means to walk into Rugby Park on a freezing night or to feel the heat of Pittodrie. Scotland has plenty of talent that fits that mould, yet those options were ignored as if they were beneath us. Bringing in a proper Scottish core is not some romantic throwback. It is a practical foundation that has worked for Rangers over decades. When you skip that, you lose balance, leadership, and the sort of heartbeat that holds a squad together when things get tough. What we are hearing now is that the new head coach has taken one look at the squad and basically told the board the truth they maybe did not want to hear, but needed to listen to. He has gone through everything with a blunt, almost clinical honesty, looking at what each player brings and where they fall short. Apparently, the number of lads falling into the worrying categories far outweighs the ones who look ready to carry the team forward. That alone tells you everything you need to know about the scale of the rebuild ahead. It is no surprise, really. You watch some of these players and you can tell within minutes that they are not up to the standards of this club. Some look a step behind in every duel. Others look like they have only one idea in their locker, and if that doesn't work, they are finished for the night. There are signings who were brought in with excitement and big talk, but are already looking like they will be out the door before they ever settle. In some cases, you could argue they never should have walked through the door in the first place. There are a handful you could maybe defend, lads who show flashes of potential or moments where you think, aye, there is something there. But flashes are not enough at Rangers. You cannot go missing for 3 matches and then expect applause for one decent performance. You cannot hide behind excuses about settling in when you are wearing a badge that demands more than that. And when you look at the full list of arrivals from the summer, it is hard not to feel that half of them were gambles thrown together with hope rather than proper planning. The comparison with players who left only makes it more painful. You look at the forwards who departed and then look at the ones who came in, and it becomes clear why the team has struggled to score. You look at the fullbacks and the midfielders who moved on, and there is just no way you can argue that the replacements match their influence or consistency. It is not even close. And that gap in quality doesn't just hurt you in 1 or 2 matches. It drags down the whole season. All of this makes the stance from the new head coach feel refreshing. He has the background, the experience, and the confidence to say exactly what he thinks. He is not here to nod politely and accept a broken system. He has worked at top clubs across Europe, places where standards are sky high and where excuses do not get you far. So when someone like that walks into Ibrox, sees what has been happening and raises his voice, it carries weight. It forces the board to listen, even if it stings. And to be fair, the board finally acted. They didn't wrap things up in polite language or try to spin it as a mutual departure. They made it clear that this was a sacking, a clean cut, because the job had not been done to the level required. In a club that often relied on soft wording to keep things tidy, that kind of direct action stands out. It sends a message that the standards are being reset. It also tells the support that someone inside the building finally understands the seriousness of the situation. This leaves the club at a turning point, a messy one, but a necessary one. The mistakes of the past months will leave scars, and the rebuild will no doubt be long and demanding. But the first step, acknowledging the failures and clearing out those responsible, has been taken, and in a season that has felt like constant disappointment, that alone brings a bit of hope back into the picture. Right? Moving on from that first wave of upheaval, the most striking thing now is how the entire club feels like it has stepped into a new phase, not a comfortable one, not a settled one, but a phase where every tiny decision suddenly matters again. There is a rawness to everything around Rangers at the moment, a sense that the room has finally gone quiet after a shouting match, and folk are now looking around wondering who is going to speak next and what direction the place will take. And in the middle of all that sits the squad, a group that has taken the brunt of the frustration from the stands, and one that now knows the scrutiny is going to crank up even more as the head coach starts stamping his authority on every corner of the building. You can see already how the mood among the players has shifted. It is not that heads are down, but there is a tension, a weight, as if everyone realizes their place is suddenly not guaranteed the way it might have felt a few weeks ago. Training sessions look sharper, the intensity feels a bit more desperate, and that usually happens when players sense that someone new is making judgments that will stick. A lad who coasted through drills before cannot get away with it now, and someone who has been on the fringes knows this might finally be their chance to make a proper impression. The whole dynamic changes when the manager makes it clear that past decisions do not matter anymore, and only what happens now will shape the next steps. What stands out the most is the honesty in the messaging. The head coach isn't interested in sugarcoating. He has spoken plainly about standards, about physical demands, about mental sharpness, and about what Rangers players should look like, play like, and behave like. When someone talks that directly, there is nowhere to hide. Some players thrive under that kind of clarity, others crumble, and over time that gap becomes obvious. And this is exactly where the rebuild starts. Not only in signing new players, but in reigniting the fire inside the ones who are already here. You can tell from his approach that he wants a squad that plays with a clear identity, one that presses with purpose, moves with aggression, and keeps the tempo high from the first whistle. He has worked at clubs where the demands are relentless, where you do not get time to settle or excuses to fall back on. Bringing that mindset to Rangers is crucial because too often in recent seasons, the team has drifted into slow starts, timid phases of possession, and moments where the energy just disappears. That kind of play invites trouble in Scotland. It lets smaller sides grow into the match. It gives belief to teams that should be put away early. One thing that is becoming obvious is how certain players fit this new system naturally, while others look like they are trying to run in someone else's boots. You can see it in their movements, in their decision-making, in how quick they react when the ball is lost. The players who have that instinct, the ones who press instantly, sprint back into shape and keep scanning for danger, stand out straight away. The others, the ones who hesitate, who jog instead of bursting, who switch off, they will be the ones the support notices first when the manager starts to trim the squad. The January window is going to reshape this team, maybe more drastically than people expect. It isn't just about adding 2 or 3 names. It is about clearing out the excess, removing the ones who are not contributing, and rebuilding the spine with players who can handle the pressure that comes with wearing this badge. The head coach wants footballers who understand the culture, who know what it means to walk through the players' tunnel at Ibrox and feel that roar lifting them instead of shrinking them. He wants hungry lads, ones who see Rangers as a step up, not a fallback option. And when you speak to supporters, you realize how much they crave something simple: belief. They can handle mistakes. They can handle setbacks. They can handle the odd off night. What they cannot handle is a squad that looks passive, detached, or unsure of its purpose. The Rangers support wants a team that fights for every ball as if it were the last one of the evening, that plays with an identity that reflects the club's values, and that carries themselves with a bit of swagger. Not arrogance, but confidence backed by work rate. The lack of identity under the previous regime is what cut deepest for many fans. It wasn't just the losing, it was the manner of the losing. Matches where the team looked slow, disconnected, miles away from the intensity needed. Games where you could watch 20 minutes go by without a single moment that lifted the crowd. When supporters start feeling that disconnect, everything else falls apart. And once that connection breaks, repairing it takes far more effort than folk realize. It takes performances that stir the audience, moments that make people sit forward, nights where you walk out of the stadium feeling proud again. That is why the next stretch of fixtures carries a different kind of weight. It is not just about climbing the table or progressing through competitions. It is about establishing signs of life. You want to see pressing triggers, coordinated movements, midfielders bursting forward, defenders winning their duels with a bit of authority. You want to watch a forward receive the ball and feel that spark, that anticipation that something dangerous is about to happen. These moments are what build trust again. There is also the growing influence of the academy, something the head coach has already leaned into. He has no hesitation about using younger players if they meet the standards, and that is something the support has been desperate to see. The academy is full of lads who grew up understanding the responsibility that comes with pulling on the shirt. They might lack experience, but what they do not lack is hunger. When they step on the pitch, they run until their lungs burn. They fight for every 50-50, and they take instructions seriously. That alone sets a tone for the rest of the squad, and you can feel how that energy spreads. Senior players start responding. not wanting to be outworked by a teenager. Training sessions become louder, quicker, more competitive. The manager watches everything, analyzing who pushes themselves and who fades into the background. These are the small moments where a new culture is built. It doesn't happen through a speech or a meeting. It happens on the grass, day after day, repetition after repetition, until the standards become second nature. Even at board level, the atmosphere has shifted. There is finally a recognition that football decisions must be guided by football minds, not spreadsheets alone, not scouting theories, but experience, intuition, and knowledge of what this club requires. That alignment has been missing for too long, and without it, no amount of spending could fix the underlying problems. You can buy players, but you cannot buy identity. You cannot buy cohesion. You cannot buy the sense of purpose that comes when everyone pulls in the same direction. You must build that. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. A right stirs burst through the Scottish game this morning as whispers ripple round Govan that veteran keeper Ben Foster has just put pen to paper with the Rangers. Nothing's been shouted officially, mind, but the corridors of Ibrox are said to be buzzing like a kettle ready to boil, and folk close to the deal claim the club's moved quick and quiet, as if they didn't want any noses put out a joint before the grand reveal. Foster, long admired for his sharp reflexes and that cool-as-you-like demeanor between the sticks, has supposedly been spotted near the training ground, stepping out of a discreet motor that absolutely didn't look like it belonged to a man just passing through. Some say he was even glimpsed shaking hands with folk who look suspiciously like club suits. Could be a coincidence, aye, but the timing's far too cheeky for the rumour mill to ignore. There's further murmur that the Rangers staff have been preparing special keeper sessions as if bracing themselves for a lad why top-level experience and a reputation for barking orders at his backline. Supporters are already speculating about what this might mean for the current goalkeeping pecking order. A few loyal to the incumbents are muttering under their breath, but plenty more are dreaming of a seasoned English stopper bringing a steadier presence when the pressure climbs. The whispers didn't stop there. One insider insists the deal came together in a flash, sparked by a late-night conversation that left both sides keen to seal things before word leaked. Well, the word has leaked, at least the part that sends tongues wagging. Whether it's all smoke or a fire ready to roar, it's enough to hay the blue, half of Glasgow perched on the edge of their seats, waiting for that first training ground photo or cheeky hint from the club's media team. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.